Welcome to this video series about how to create a full web project with Next.js, Typescript, and Tailwind. A few of the things you will need: a GitHub account, VS Code, and Node.js. Let's start on your GitHub profile. Here we will create a new repository. Give it a name of your choosing and some accurate description on what you want to do with it. Make sure you have your repository set to public, which will be important for hosting your website later. Check to have a README file, since this is where you will describe your project to other developers. Now, let's create the repository. It can now be seen by anyone who visits your profile. For a proper working environment, we will now clone the project in VS Code, where you can access all your repositories once you have logged into GitHub over the accounts icon at the bottom left. If you have already done that, use the search bar at the top to clone from GitHub and store your repository locally wherever you want to. Once your repository is cloned, we will see the README file. To build more, we pull up from the bottom to open the terminal. Next.js will be the framework we use. From their official documentation, we use the command which will easily install Next.js for us. Just name it, say yes to TypeScript, no to ESLint since I don't know how to use it correctly and I don't need it for a small project, yes to Tailwind CSS, yes to the source directory and the app builder, and no to the last option. And after pressing enter, our project will be built. Since we now have a folder inside a folder, which is unnecessary, we will move all the things from our new project folder to the already existing one, and replace our old README file since we haven't added much to it yet anyways. Now delete the old folder. I will now explain a little more about the project structure. The Node modules folder is a directory that contains all the installed dependencies or packages required for that project. It is managed by the package manager. In the public folder, we import images and documents we want to use. In the source app folder is the core of our project. The page.tsx file in here is the starting point of our website. To see what it looks like, we can check for commands in the README file, where Next.js gives some infos to start. Run npm run dev and follow the localhost link with strg or a command click. What you see here is a real-time depiction of the code in your project and the default created by Next.js, which we can now modify as we choose. Taking out the default code, we have room to build our own. Here, an example. Everything added to class name are Tailwind commands, a short, efficient way to add CSS styles. I will link the Tailwind cheat sheet I use below. With the new code added, the page looks pretty different on the localhost page. And that's it. We have already created a simple code structure, which we can now work with. To save the changes, we will now commit the changes we have made to our GitHub repository. When we refresh our repository, we can see new folders and files are now visible and secured on GitHub. When saving our project, we don't have to be afraid to lose any progress and can access our project from any computer. Next up, we will organize our project by creating a GitHub project board. In this board, we can create new issues we want to solve and get a good overview on what still needs to be done. In our case, the proper creation of a starting landing page for the project. There are different tools that are very helpful and pretty much code for you. Let's start with V0. Enter a prompt to describe what you want from your website. After some patience, V0 creates 3 example websites, from which you can choose your favorite. Click on code and copy the command on top. Open a new terminal and paste it in here. If you don't have any of the things that are required for V0 installed, don't worry, I didn't have either. Just follow the instructions given and it installs everything needed. After the installation is done, try adding the copied component again. Name it properly, so you will find it in your new components folder. V0 likes using self-defined icons, but I prefer using different ones to keep my code shorter. So delete the icon functions defined at the bottom and go to the Phosphor icons page. There are lots of icons to choose from, so I will use those instead. Copy the code from the React tab and paste it in where the other icon was. It now still needs to be imported from Phosphor icons. Use the command from the GitHub README file to import to your project. When looking at import possibilities, now there have been a few added here. Choose React dist SSR. Even though I am doing it wrong in my video, I will show you later what happens when using incorrect imports. Once all icons have been chosen, added, and imported, we can get rid of unnecessary comments and import our component to our main page.tsx file. Now, back to what I mentioned earlier. As you can see here, I have a Webpack error because I imported the wrong Phosphor icons, but it can easily be fixed importing the icons from the correct path. And now, we finally see what V0 has created for us. In this example, the layout is a little off, and since I am lazy and rather would like to try out if ChatGPT can do it better, I'll get rid of the component in our main page. With Command Z, we can go back to our previous Hello World design and copy the whole thing. On the ChatGPT page, we enter our website's wishes and paste the code to give ChatGPT a layout to work with. After some waiting and playing Clash of Clans, we can copy and paste from ChatGPT. After looking at the result, think about what you want to improve and give the command. If we have any errors appearing, give ChatGPT the info and let it be fixed. Now we define some more things. And look at our end result. Final small touches we do ourselves, like taking away the footer and giving the link container a maximum width. Now that we have the page we like, we do a commit. Weirdly, now I have two README files, so I merge the content, delete the old file, and commit again. As the last step, I want to be able to share my website, so we will use GitHub Pages to host it. For this to work, our repository needs to be public. In the settings under Pages, we need to choose the source GitHub Actions. It now should automatically choose the Next.js workflow. If you have a custom domain, you can also add it, but for now we don't need it. Make sure HTTPS is enforced. To test if it has worked, we can go back to the starting page of our repository and take a look at deployments. Here is the link that was created for you. When we click on it, we will see some strange behavior. Somehow, only our README file is being displayed, which is not what we wanted. Some time ago, I somehow found a solution, but since I don't know where I got it from, we will just take it from one of my other repositories where I found a GitHub folder with a workflow folder and a Next.js.yml file, which we will just copy to our own project. I will link the Next.js.yml file below so you can access it directly without having to search for it. After committing this addition, refreshing our page, and waiting until the action has passed the workflow to the site, we can see that we finally have a working link with the content we programmed. I hope you found this video helpful. If there are any questions you have, don't be afraid to comment and I will give my best to answer them. In the next video of this project build series, I will go into detail of how to build a proper backend structure to save data of users. If there is anything else you would like to see, I am open for suggestions. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.